Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Juckins, I know that I received a message from Commissioner Mohammed that he won't be able to join this morning. Did you receive an update from any of the other committee members?
I have not. I am going to check with them right now, but no, I haven't heard from anyone else.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Roberts.
Good morning, Chief Jones. How are you?
I am doing fine. How are you?
Pretty good. I cannot complain. Thanks for asking.
I say that all the time. I have no reason to complain because there's so many people far worse off than I am. So whatever the
Exactly.
issue is, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Commissioner Coy should be joining us shortly.
Thank you.
And it would have been the polite thing to turn my camera on when I was talking to you. My apologies.
No worries. Good morning, Commissioner Coy.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, Commissioner Coy.
Out of respect for everyone's time, I'll get started. Good morning. This is Commissioner Chantel Roberts. I would like to welcome you all to the June 18th, 2024 meeting of the Operations Committee. If you have not yet done so, please mute your phone. Anyone who does not mute their phone may be muted by the call operator or removed from the call. Additionally, if you are not a board member or the CEO and her staff, please turn off your camera. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Commissioner Coy,
Commissioner Coy present.
Commissioner Mohammed, Commissioner Reed. For members of the public who would like to provide public comment to this committee, you can do so by signing up beginning at 9 a.m. the Thursday before the meeting until 5 p.m. on the Monday before the meeting. Individuals or groups interested in providing comments to the committee may sign up one of three ways: by contacting the board office at 443-642-2095 or by visiting the board office at the Alice G. Penderhughes building located at 200 East North Avenue, room 406, or by emailing the board office at schoolboard@bcps.k12.md.us. Up to 5 individuals will be given the opportunity to provide comment to the Operations Committee. Speakers will be granted 3 minutes. And know that all public comment should address operations-related issues. Sign up is not permitted the day of the meeting. In addition, the chat function during our virtual meetings will not be used as a tool for gathering feedback or for answering questions from the public. If you have any follow-up questions or feedback and did not sign up in advance, please provide them to schoolboard@bcps.k12.md.us, and the board office staff will provide a response to you. Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing today? I hope well. Are we all
Above
doing well?
Well,
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Chief Jones?
I was trying to tell Commissioner Reed his mic was off.
I thought I heard him say above well.
Oh, maybe it was just me. I'm sorry.
Above average. Thank you.
Average. Okay, we can get started with the first presentation of the morning, which is the AMP implementation update. Chief Jones, you're up.
Actually, sir, were you going to do the AMP update? Yep.
Yes, good morning. My name is Sarah Abel, Director of HC Systems and Strategy. Thank you so much for allowing us to share our update around the Administrative Modernization Project, also known as AMP for short. I'm joined by my colleague, Kenny Carter, who will be speaking in a few moments, and also Chief Storty and Chief Nielsen. She will be joining, and then Chief Jones. So, as a quick reminder, we have, oh, apologies. Okay. This project relates to board priorities 3 and 5. This is focused on our infrastructure that we use to support a high quality hiring process for all of our school-based communities and district office, and really focused on having equitable access to resources. And as we think about the goals of AMP, which we have come back quarterly to share updates, we are replacing 22 plus years of obsolete technology. And so the focus of this is to have a single source of truth, integrated systems, so that our employees and our candidates experience a better onboarding process, a hiring process. We want to make sure that our systems are efficient and our staff have better tools to meet the needs of the district and the school communities that they serve. So as a quick reminder, we have 3 phases of AMP. Our first phase is finance. We'll speak about that in a moment. Our second phase, this is all around our performance management system. And our third phase, which will go live December 16th, 2024, that is phase 3, and that is human capital and payroll. So that touches every aspect of the employee life cycle, from recruitment to retirement, everything in between. And those systems will be replaced at the end of the year. There's a lot of terminology with this project, and so just wanted to make sure that we were using a current state versus future state, so everyone's on the same page. Phase 1, which is finance. We use finance, which is a very simple way to bucket many different modules that impact our financial infrastructure, and so you can see the list here. Finance is live. Fusion Financials replaced our current state EBS. So our dollars are in the cloud and our people are currently on Earth, as I like to look at it. And so financials went live last July. This July, meaning next month, we have our new CHARM system going live. And so that replaces current state OPMS, which is our performance management system. And we will go live next month. So a lot of work around that. Training, engagement, communications are going out to school communities, and school leaders will have a preview this month. They'll have preview next month. And then we have training as we come into August at our Operations Institute to prepare our school leaders, and then we will roll it out to our school communities and all of the employees who will be engaging with our new performance management system called CHARM. Looking down the road, we have December 2024. This is when our core HC system and payroll system goes live. And this includes our new time and attendance system, UKG. And that is the way all of our employees will record their time. And in December, they will punch for pay. And so we have a lot of work going on right now to test the system, configure the system, and really ensure that the system is ready. But then also we have change management initiatives to make sure our employees are ready to receive that change. One update since our last presentation to the board, we do have an Oracle update that is coming. Just like with all of our smartphones, how there are updates and you wake up and your phone is plugged in and it says, oh, download the newest update. The same will happen with Fusion, which is a cloud-based product. And so we know in the next year, we have the Redwood update coming. And to simplify that, Redwood is the interface. So what employees see, how they click, how they navigate through Fusion. Our interface will be changing over the course of the next year. So we're working with our vendors. This is a non-negotiable update from Oracle, the corporation, that we have to enable the Redwood update. And so all of the work we're doing right now for the last 2 years has been in one instance with everything looking one way. And we know within the next year, we're going to have to shift to a totally new interface. And this is something that we are working through right now with our vendors, our change management, because we know employees will have, it is a noticeable difference. The update is easier, so it resolves a lot of the feedback from end users, but this is something that we as a district have to plan for, and it impacts every single Oracle client across the country, around the world. Everyone will have to move to Redwood. And so just want to share that here because this actually is a large body of work that we now have to plan for and incorporate as we think about change management and training. Down the road, we have our new learning management system. So we have selected Canvas and KickUp, and so that work is starting and slated to go live next summer. We're very excited about that. Down the road at a date to be determined, we have health and safety. This is all around OSHA and workers' comp. Those modules and those technical systems will come online later. And our focus truly right now is launching our new CHARM, launching phase 3, which is payroll, time and attendance, core HC, and then working through our Redwood updates and our learning management. So we have a lot on our plates, a lot of work coming, and we are working with our change management team to make sure the district is prepared for those changes. So as I mentioned, this month we have our user acceptance testing for CHARM. That work is ongoing. We have parallel payroll testing, and that is ensuring that the system can pay in a simulated environment from punch to pay, and it is accurate. And so all of that testing is happening. Our entire payroll team is involved, our IT team is involved, and we're really focused to make sure that with our new systems that come online, we pay our employees accurately, on time, using these new technical tools. And so we're very excited about this, to have a more seamless experience when it comes to how employees utilize their time and their accruals and how that translates into their pay. So with that, I'm going to pass this over to my colleague, Kenny Carter, who is going to share some more about our upcoming model testing session. So Kenny, over to you.
Thank you for that segue, Sarah. I appreciate that. The with model testing, we are going to give our employees the opportunity to just test out the system. And by doing that, we're going to initially not have the system connected to payroll, because in order for us to make sure that things are clean and refined, we're going to address behavioral changes. Now, how are we going to do that? Within the system, there's 3 different ways that they're going to be able to, you'll be able to, as an employee, to clock in. You'll be able to clock in on a wall clock. You'll be able to clock in on your phone through an app, and you'll also be able to clock in on your computer and desktop. As far as the installation of time clocks throughout the district, we have over 100 plus that we've installed, and we are actually going to have a kickoff meeting today with the schools that are participating, that are in summer programming, along with a select group of departments in the in district office. Proximity badges. So if you'll go to the next slide for me, Sarah. Thank you. I appreciate it. The proximity badges, we're going to use proximity badges as opposed to scan cards, because it'll just make it easier for folks that are going to use the wall clock. So they simply just walk up to the clock, and all they have to do is tap and walk away. And it's relatively simple, very easy. It's a very intuitive system, and once people get used to it very quickly, it will be seamless for everybody to do what they need to do. As far as the badges, the new badges will be distributed this summer. Obviously, the people that are in model testing that will start on July 8th they'll get their badges really in about a week and a half. We are super excited about the opportunity to get these new badges to employees, because everybody, who doesn't like a new badge? But the old badges will need to be surrendered, and then every employee will have the option of whether or not they want to take a new picture, or if they want to just use the picture that's on record. It's easy. That will automatically happen, and then we will disperse the badges to all the folks. If you're a new employee, you'll get your badge at the start of the school year, and or when you come in and do your security check. You'll take your picture, and then once your first day of employment starts, you will secure your badge then. If a badge is lost, we're going to have an administrative fee of $10, just to make sure that we hold people accountable and give them an incentive to keep their badges. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you so much. All right. The differences between model testing and go live. So when we go from July to December in model testing, and then when we get to December 16th and we go live, here's what the employee can expect and what the experience is going to be like. So in model testing, it'll be punch to practice, whereas when we go live, it'll be punch to pay. So it's all serious now. It's everything's good to go. But because of the amount of time that we're going to be in model testing, it should be a very smooth transition. And we're being very detailed in so many things, in how we're going to make sure that the experience in model testing it just smoothly goes to where people don't even realize that it's punch to pay, except for the fact that they will have to do a couple things in parallel. The clocking in and clocking out functionality is going to be the same whether we're in model testing to when we go live. Employees submitting their timesheet each pay period, that'll be the same in model testing as it is when we go live. And then managers reviewing punches in-app or in reports, it's going to be the same thing from when we are in model testing to when we go live. The thing that will adjust up a little bit is that the request and approved time off, we're not going to do that at the beginning of model testing because we're still working through some things, but it will definitely happen before we go live. And again, that'll just be another experience that'll be very smooth for all of our end users. You can transition for me, Sarah. All right, so the a subset of schools that are going to be involved in model testing And I just happen to have those schools. We have Mount Royal, we have Forest Park, we have Cross Country, we have Armstead Gardens, Graceland Park, O'Donnell Heights, Digital Harbor, Pattison, and Hamilton that have raised their hand and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. And we're super excited about that. And then the departments at the beginning of the testing will be human capital, OIT, finance and payroll together, and then the school police will be involved. And then when we get to September, we will have a cadence where the rest of the schools will come on and be a part of model testing, and we're going to do it and group it by CLNs. And then the rest of human capital, the rest of the district office will also start in September. So by the time we get to go live, everybody would have been in model testing. We would have really worked our way through all the little things that need to be addressed to make sure that everything is good to go, and that payroll feels like we've gotten so aligned that there should be no questions and no issues when it comes to punch to pay, and managers being able to really understand where people are, who's at work, who's clocked in, who's not there. All those things are going to be super, super exciting. There's over 100 different reports that'll be able to be pulled. And I think that supervisors and managers of people will really have a great way to create great working relationships with their employees. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you so much. AMP training from June to September. Obviously, we have CHARM going on that Sarah talked about, and we also have the UKG timekeeping going on. The audience is really the through line for the whole thing is with the training methods that we're using in both things. And that's to just really make sure that we're taking the feedback, because when you're implementing new systems, it's super important to make sure that you mesh what is going on with business processes that we currently have, to really taking it to another level to make sure that our people don't have to work as hard, but they can work smarter and they can work more efficiently and make us the district office that we want to be and the school system that we want to be, in the sense that we can put more focus on developing our kids and not have to do so many things manually that we've had to do in the past. If you could go up, Sarah, thank you so much. Now, as far as UKG, we're going to make it really, really simple, and because it's an intuitive learning system, an intuitive way to learn how to utilize this new system, being UKG. We have a roadmap that we've designed, and where you see like record the time and submit timesheets and review and approve. All of those are hyperlinks to videos that are about a minute, 20 seconds. Very simple, but it gives detail of how you're supposed to navigate through and utilize the system and work through what we call soft keys. There's other training that will happen with the managers and the people managers, helping them understand how to pull reports to know, what attendance looks like. And we're going to take care of that with our training team. And the training times that everybody's going to have are a lot. And when I say a lot, it means that they will have ample opportunity to make sure that they can ask all the questions that they need to ask to understand how the system can work very effectively for them. Next slide, please, Sarah. All right. And AMP communications. So the things, the different stakeholder groups that we have that are making sure that we're getting cascading messaging all throughout. We're using Change Champions, and the Change Champions, they have bi-weekly meetings that the communications team, the AMP communications team, spends time with them, and we listen to their feedback, because they're the folks that have the boots on the ground and they know what's going on. So we want to make sure that it's not just an email that you get that you may randomly pass through, but it's also detailed information that can be passed through people who have the ears of people in their offices and in their areas or in their schools. All staff will communicate with them through the different ways that with the Change Champions, but also with emails from our communications folks here. And then principals, obviously Muscle is stopped for the school for the year now because we're into the summer, but we will pick that up when we get back into September. But we will have a kickoff, like I said today, with the principals that are in summer programming. And then with the district office, we just all the emails, then just Change Champions, and also my team as far as the AMP communications team, we will message through quarterly with district office folks, and then making sure the union is squared away. And obviously we're talking to the you find people on the board. Then last slide, I'm sorry. Next steps. So what are we doing now? We're testing. The parallel payroll testing is going on. We have the model testing pilot the training will start on the 24th of this month, and then July 8th we will actually start the punch to test and not punch to pay until December. Other training that's going on, I'm sorry, that was testing. And then training that's going on, the UKG time and attendance, what we were just talking about, Charm, which we're working our way through. Jesse Poppy is doing a great job with that, to continuing to make sure that we get eyes and testers in her system. And then system development, things that we're working our way through. The data archiving solutions that Sarah Abel's working with and her team to make sure that we can store all of the archive all the information from 23 plus years so that we don't bog down Oracle, and we have a way for employees in case they need to go back and get information that they can retrieve that information. And then the LMS that we're super excited about because being able to have Canvas and a way to have a staff facing system that's going to sit on top of Canvas is going to be a game changer for us, because we've never had learning transcripts here. And now to have learning transcripts and track all that information of all of our teachers and our administrative folks is going to be a game changer. So Sarah, with that, I am done.
Thank you, Kenny, and we welcome any questions around all of this work we have going on with our AMP project.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I see your hand, Commissioner Reed.
Kenny, what's your last name so I can?
Commissioner Reed, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you're really low.
Better?
No.
Still really low.
Oh, okay.
Now you're muted. Now we can't hear you at all. So undo whatever you just did. No, we can't hear you at all. Log out and come back.
Commissioner Reed, if you'll put your question in the chat, we will make sure we answer it.
We have to fix the tech issue. So Commissioner Reed, can you log out and come back, and we'll go to Commissioner Coy?
Yeah, two questions that I have. Obviously, thank you for all the things that you all are doing. It's nice to see the Change Champions and the rollout process and the punch to practice. I know this is a massive system. There are a couple items in procurement that relate directly to the things that you're talking about today, right? Both the increase of the cost of the UKG, and it looks like it's for more things, not a change in price, because there was also the letter that outlined just that some things are more expensive. But I guess any insight that you can share about like those change in how much the UKG is costing is one of my questions that I have.
You want me to take this one? I'll take this one. The change, as you said, it's not really a change in price. First of all, we're buying a lot more clocks. I wish I had the number, but it's something that maybe another 150. As we did the study of where it would be most convenient for people, like this place in the school or second one in the school, we had to buy more clocks. The second part is this trying to build the interface between UKG and Oracle and our older systems has proven to be much more complicated and required much more time from the UKG staff to work with us to build interfaces and just a lot of additional work that just wasn't expected. So those are the two main factors affecting the change in cost of the UKG contract.
Yeah, one additional question just on the UKG generally. Are there any classes of employees that have provisions that enable remote work, or is this pretty much everybody has to be on site in person doing their work?
No. This fully supports remote work. What we have is we have three options for UKG, and we just refer to them as punching. But you can punch with the physical clock at a building. So if you're a school teacher coming into the building, you're required to be at the building, so you can punch in that clock and we can tell where the clock. If you are a remote worker for any reason, you have both the app you can have on your phone, which allows you to punch, telling us that you're at work today, and we also know where you punched in at. Or you can take your computer, log in your computer, and do effectively the same thing. So there are three different ways that you can punch in and identify yourself as being at work.
And Chief Jones, I would also add that this is also great for itinerant staff who go to multiple school locations. They can punch wherever they are on their phones or at the time clocks. I think that's really great. And then also, as you all know, we have large systemic PDs. So when all the teachers go to Digital Harbor for a training, for example, they can all punch in right when they get there. So there are a lot of different uses for this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Last question that I had based off of this presentation also relates to another procurement item with PowerSchool. And you referenced it here in the applicant tracking in that system. Is that a temporary solution using some of the PowerSchool, or is that a permanent because the new AMP isn't going to have modules that relate to that? Just trying to understand to what degree these systems are sort of temporary or permanent with the AMP.
Yeah, so PowerSchool is our current applicant tracking system. So that is when we started this project 2 years ago. Our entire onboarding journey and experience is built to integrate with PowerSchool. So that is the current state. That's how we've configured everything. And so the procurement item today is really the foundational core piece of how we hire. So it is the technical solution we have in current state to merge our applicant tracking into Fusion. And so there's like a data feed and a file. And so that's what we've been testing. And so that is what we plan to hire for and utilize this for hiring for next year and the year beyond. And so that really is the 2-year request that we've made to the board to use that functionality for the hiring process.
And then following 2 years, it will all be rolled into the AMP. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, so we did not purchase Oracle onboarding. So that is like the native solution from Oracle. When this RFP went forward, that was not selected by the committee. And so currently the PowerSchool product is the vendor we have. I think down the road, years from now, technology moves very quickly. And so I can't forecast into the future of what things will look like. But for the next 2 hiring seasons, this is our plan to utilize this functionality to really leverage Oracle, because what they are known for in this new experience is a journey. So as people are hired, it's an automated journey that walks them through the hiring process. And so it's much smoother, it's automated, you're not relying on people. And so we're really excited about that. And the foundation of that is the data we're going to pull from PowerSchool ATS.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense to me. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Commissioner Reed?
Can you hear me now?
Perfection.
Okay. I'm not picking on any of us because I look at this as we're talking systems, we're talking technology, talking basically technical jargon. this is a committee for geeks. So what I'm saying is, Kenny, what you said at the end, in terms of what got you excited about this, maybe in your delivery to the board, you guys can phrase it in some kind of way in terms of what this whole process of AMP and UKG does and why the system and the board should be excited about it. Because, I mean, you're going through the whole thing in terms of parallel testing and attendance training, all that kind of stuff, which could put some people to sleep. But I guess the key is, like you said in the last 2 minutes, focus on why should we be excited, why this makes a difference, and why the board should sign off on it.
Sure.
I guess another thing that comes to mind is when I look at EKG, top level, you guys have everybody engaged. But on the ground, who owns UKG on the ground? Will it be the principal? Will it be a designated person? How does that work?
In the schools, and Sarah and Chief Jones, if I don't articulate this the right way, please jump in. And in the schools, the principals will have control, and in the district office, it will be managers or people that the people managers and the timekeepers that are assigned in the different departments. The reason I say that it's super exciting is because now managers have the opportunity to manage in a way that you're pulling a report in real time that's going to let you know what the attendance is of people. You don't have to worry about now, did Johnny come in and sign into the book? Did the secretary
No, you don't
read
have to
the
tell
book?
me. You don't have to tell
Yeah.
me. Just tell them when you make the presentation. And I guess the other thing is, you said the principal owns it. I don't believe you, because I think chances are 90% of the time, Chief Tommy, you can correct me, 90% of the time, because of their job, because of how busy they are, they're going to designate somebody.
Right.
So you guys probably want to work with them in terms of them in that designatee, in terms of how you make sure it gets done. But at the end of the day, the principal owns it, even if they don't do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, Commissioner Reed, I actually would have said it slightly different than Mr. Carter. I would have said the individual owns it.
Okay.
We are putting technology in place, and I know what Kenny said, the principal. We're putting technology in place that you can't get around. That if you want to get paid, you need to do what the specification, not the timekeeper, not the man, not the principal. It's you need to do what you need to do. So let's take me. Haven't been in a occupation that required me punching in a clock in a long time. When I used to build houses, I had to, punch in. But in this case, I have to punch in. I have to say, Tommy Jones is working. And what I think Kenny meant by the principal is it then rolls up to my supervisor. In my case, this happened to be Dr. Sandelisa's. If it's a teacher, the vast majority of our employees, it rolls up to the principal to confirm, yes, Tommy taught classes today. Or like Dr. Sandelisa's, Tommy showed up to the operation committee meeting. He delivered the things that he won't. So yes, the principal or the manager has reviewed it, but individual are individually held accountable for whether they get paid or not. So I cannot check in if I want to, but I don't get paid. So, and that's the reason we're putting so much emphasis on this model testing, because we want you to have every opportunity to learn how to do this and not say, oh, I don't understand. So I won't belabor this point, but we're really putting a lot of energy into this testing.
So they check in and check out, or just check in?
Depending on who you are, Tommy Jones just need to affirm that I work today, because my hours can be all over the board. I could be at a 7:30 presentation and leave at 4, or I could be here at 7 o'clock at night. A teacher, though, using an example, or an electrician has a set hours that they're expected to be doing that profession. You know, teachers are going to be at the school at 7 a.m., right? And done at 3:30. But then if they go do a special assignment from 3:30, like an after school program, from 3:30 to 6, they get credit for both of those. They'll clock in, clock out for their regular work, and then they'll clock in and clock out and say, I did this additional work that I was assigned. So we have a complete record of what work you do.
Are you guys going to do that for district office too?
Yep.
Yes.
So I won't,
Just to
so it
jump
won't be
in,
like,
everyone
go ahead, Sarah.
punches.
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead, Sarah.
Everyone punches. If you were hourly, you punch in and you punch out. If you're salaried, you punch in. If you are a teacher or BTU and you are earning a stipend, you must punch in and punch out for your stipend work.
okay. Thank you.
We will take your comment in consideration, see how we can be a little more about the excitement of who's doing what and that type of thing.
Okay, I'm just trying to make it easy to be accepted by the non-geeks on the board.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Commissioner Reed. You have no idea how much we appreciate that, the multiple
Absolutely.
perspectives.
Thank you.
Can't hear you, Commissioner Roberts.
I had to click my mute button a few times. I didn't want to unmute. Thank you both, Commissioner Coy and Commissioner Reed, for your remarks. I would just offer some consideration around the communication to staff as these updates are being deployed, that they are plain language, that essentially that we're able to distribute it in a way that it causes less, it's as least disruptive as necessary, that all of our stakeholders have the information in the way that they need to receive it to cut down on any disruption and potential compensation being distributed to our staff. So they
Commissioner
have
Roberts.
what they need, so they know what to do when it's time to do it.
Commissioner Roberts, what I'll add to that is that we are actually going to go to specific folks and make sure that, we'll have, go to their areas and to their space to make sure that they understand that they're receiving the information in a way that's very clear to them.
Got it. The only flag I have here, in addition to what has already been lifted by the other commissioner. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will, Commissioner, I'll add 10 seconds here, and that is, we recognize that you can't just have training and videos for people. You actually, as Kenny said, you need to go stand in front of people. So we're going to have a lot of sessions of standing in front of people, explaining this. And then, if something didn't make sense, you can go to our recorded training material or our FAQs, but we're going to stand up in front of people.
Love that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thank you, team, so much for your presentation. We can prepare for the next presentation, which is our capital projects review. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Maureen.
Hi. I'll share my screen. Go to the first slide. And I am Maureen Gershberg. I am the Director of Facilities Planning and Real Estate within the Operations Department. I have here also Cindy Smith, Executive Director of Planning, Design, and Construction. Today we're going to talk about the capital projects review for the year. So this does not require a board vote. This is an update. Can you all see the screen? No. All right.
Yep.
Let's try again.
No, we could see it.
Oh, Cindy couldn't see it. All right. Sorry, going back again. All right, can you see it?
Yes, no.
All right, great. All right, so we're gonna go over the capital projects review for the year. There we go. This aligns with board priority 3. And these are the topics we're going to cover today: facilities, conditions, and investments, funding sources, summary of projects, and then looking forward. We always like to start our conversations regarding capital projects with this larger look at the maintenance that we really should be receiving when you look at, sorry, the funding we receive for maintenance and capital projects combined versus what the industry standard says we should be getting. There's the current maintenance and capital budget is approximately 365 million less than what is needed. We receive limited funding compared to what we truly need, and that does result in us having to make difficult decisions frequently. Capital decisions are informed by both physical system conditions and district priorities. So physical systems would be inspections, our preventative maintenance reports, our facilities conditions indexes, work orders and life cycle information. District priorities would be a different layer, such as annual review decisions, data within our CEFMP and CMP, and then general data analysis and different state initiatives. These are the different funding sources that fund our capital program. The items in blue are annual funds that reoccur. We have since updated this slide since you last saw it within the last time we presented. We're now including the ASP and SSGP, Aging Schools Program, and School Safety Grant Program. We're including that on here, even though those amounts are fairly small, and they are also managed by the Facilities Department, which is why we didn't include them previously, but they are state funds that do result in investments in our buildings. The primary pots of money that contribute towards our capital projects are the CIP, Capital Improvement Program, and the Healthy Schools Facilities Funds. So those are state funds. Other funds are the reoccurring local funds from Baltimore City, which is about 19 million each year. ESSER and 21st Century funds, while we're still finishing up some projects, all of that money has been allocated. So it's not as if there's additional money from those areas that we could pull on. Same with Built to Learn and Pass-Through Grant. Those funds, while they haven't been spent, they have been designated. This is the timeline for those pots of money, those bigger ones. The reason we do this presentation this time of year is because we put the initial request in for CIP projects in the fall. And the amount that we get funded depends upon the amount that the state chooses to fund us. And so since the budget wraps up around April, May, we don't know the final amount until April, May. So we always do this end of the school year presentation to kind of show where we're at and what we received. So those initial requests go in the fall for CIP. They know about 75% of the awards in the winter, and then we find out 100% in the spring and summer. We then take the information of what didn't get funded, and we use that to put in the requests for the following year. The city, for their funding, we give them the list in the fall, and they approve it in the fall. For Healthy Schools, that's a different timeline and different type of project. So we will be submitting them in summer of this year, and that's a set amount, and that's guaranteed towards Baltimore City. That's the way that funding works. And so we'll be submitting and getting approved for it this summer. We're going to take a moment to go into detail about Healthy Schools versus CIP. We've historically focused on CIP because that was the most significant source from the state that wasn't one time. It was an annual pot of money that, well, while the amount did change, we were able to count on it for future years. In the past 5 years or so, since the creation of the Healthy Schools Fund, that's become an increasingly important pot of money for us to draw on to do systemic projects. So as I touched on, CIP is an annual fund that reoccurs. It will go on forever, but there's no guarantee in whether it's going to be an increased amount or a specific amount that goes to LEAs. The rules around it are, as we've mentioned in previous presentations, you must have a utilization of greater than 60%. So that's thrown us for a curveball sometimes for some of our lower utilized buildings that need a lot of love. There is an IAC. The state does have a preference for us to do major projects and renovations with CIP funds. It's the only funding that will allow us, though, to do elevators and life safety. There are a lot of constraints regarding how big the building is or how many seats we can make it. And when we have a different opinion than the state, then we have to request a variance. And often that will literally drive out approval for a project for multiple years sometimes. With Healthy Schools, the original intent was to address environmental health in a school building. And so it was specifically lead and the water pipes for a building. Since its creation, it has expanded, and they now will cover a greater variety of projects, but still it's not all. Like, they will not do life safety and they will not do elevators. The good thing about Healthy Schools is there's no rules on utilization. It doesn't have any set constraints, but it does require local funds to chip in. It is right now set to expire in FY26, but there's been a lot of discussion at the state level, and it looks very promising that this fund is going to continue in the out years. And the current model is that whatever the entire state gets for Healthy Schools, 50% of it goes to Baltimore City. If we look at that just from a visual standpoint, you can see since its inception in FY20, Healthy Schools started at 10 million, but it's increased over the years, and we anticipate getting, and we have been designated 45 million for this year. And it actually surpassed the amount we got in CIP this year. CIP was rather low, especially compared to last year. All right, so let's do a quick summary of projects that are underway. For CIP, we have 77 projects that are open. For Healthy Schools, we have 52, and ESSER 126. Keep in mind, though, the dollar amount involved with all those projects. So while that is a huge number for ESSER, the bulk of the monies are going towards those CIP projects. This is what we requested for, excuse me, for CIP this year. We requested money for 78 projects total. As I mentioned earlier, the amount we got was a lot less than last year, and only 4 projects were approved. And the projects that were approved were projects that were already in the works. So you can't just add the 6 and 4 and say, all right, we've got 10 major projects now. 4 of those 6 that were requested were already underway in design or under construction. For Healthy Schools, we're going to submit about 6 projects to get us to that 45 million, and we anticipate approval for those. As the map showing our projects, whenever we put ESSER projects on a map, it gets a little bit overwhelming. So we put the totals by type in the quadrants, and then the icons you see, those are our major projects. As of June 1st, 2024, all classrooms had some form of AC. So unless the system goes down for repair, there should be no early closures. This includes temporary air conditioning units. And the picture on the right is a picture of a vertical package unit, which was one of the systems we used to be able to roll out AC as quick as we did. Systemic projects, we anticipate getting that approval for the 6 for Healthy Schools. All those projects, the systemic projects that were not approved in the FY25 CIP, that is our starting point for the FY26. We will go through it, we'll make adjustments because there's always a lot more information you need to layer in, but typically projects that were not approved the previous year are the starting point for the following year. For major projects, we have a 2-story modular coming online at Murray G. Fairing, 2 21st century funded buildings, Frederick Douglass and Commodore are left. 4 CIP replacement renovations, 4 Built to Learn projects, and then we had requested funding for Ben Franklin and Edmondson, and they were not approved. They were not approved the prior year either. We're gonna just do a quick dive into the major projects because those are, people always get excited about that. So we have Murray G. Fairing, the annex. So in Murray G. Fairing, we have an annex in an old church that's being built across the street. We also have a 2-story modular that's replacing the portable that is currently there. So the annex is going to be opening August 2025. At Furley, that's a replacement building that'll be opening August 2025 as well. Northeast, that is a lot of replacing of the system. So kind of like a renovation. It is not a brand new building. And we anticipate that opening August 2026. August 2026? Yeah, I guess. Okay. Sorry, we've had a lot of we're constantly getting new information within construction. So yeah, this actually, since we submitted the presentation, changed to August 2026 for Northeast for Vanguard. Armistead Gardens, August 2027. That's a renovation addition project phased on site. For City Springs, that one is unique. It's a brand new building on the Lombard site, which is right across the street from City Springs. And that's going to be January 2028. The Frederick Douglass campus, that's going to open August 2026, and that'll be a co-location of Joseph Briscoe and Frederick Douglass High School. City College will be August 2028. That is a renovation with some minor addition. Western, August 28, Poly 2030, and those are systemics. For 21st Century, we have December 2026 for Commodore John Rogers. That is a replacement. And Ben Franklin and Edmondson, those are TBDs just because we were not approved. I do want to note that the dates in here, we've asterisked them as needed just because dates change. So some of the previous ones I showed, that's subject to construction schedules because we know stuff can happen. Unforeseen events. But breaking news, the Fairleigh replacement building will be net zero. We've been awarded a grant from the Maryland Energy Association, MEA, to fund the installation of photovoltaic panels. An additional grant to make another building net zero will be announced soon. This is Fairleigh under construction. It's actually a lot further along. I think this was from January. And similar to our CEFMP, if you want to know more, you should absolutely check out our dashboard. You can get to it through our city school site. If you search buildings, then scroll halfway down the page to the CEFMP, but we also have the QR code and the link here. Great. Any questions? Sorry, I don't have Teams up. Let me see.
No worries. I'll open the floor for questions, Commissioner Reed.
I don't want to take up too much time. I'm sorry. Also, these slides, I'd recommend people looking at slides 25 through 27. That basically drills it down a little bit in terms of where all the needs are and where all the spending is. Madam Chair of the Operations Committee, Vice Chair of the Board, brought up the idea of equity at the board meeting 2 meetings ago. And she's not the only one in the system that thinks that way. People were a little bit put back with the whole idea of the money in the use of City College going to University of Baltimore. And I look back at the whole idea of 21st century, the built to learn process. See, 21st century money, built to learn process is fixed. The CIP money and the healthy schools money is more variable and it's a lot smaller pools. So how can we, in terms of looking at the reputational risk of, because there's a lot of people in this outside of the system that says, hey, we lack equity. So how can we articulate the fact that built to learn 21st century or fixed monies that are basically earmarked specifically for those schools, and the fact that with the CIP and the healthy schools, we basically use that as Band-Aid money, wherein that's where we try to get the equity. How can we convey to the public and to the masses that we're doing the best we can in terms of financial equity, student equity, building equity? I mean, I know you can't answer it now. This is something 64,000 feet, but what can we do?
So with 21st century funds, a lot of the schools we ended up building, they were the results of oftentimes there was a closure and a merger. And a lot of those schools were in areas of the city where we see a lot of historic disinvestment. One of the tools that we use is the Community Conditions Index. And there's I don't know if you go to our dashboard, there's a map actually of it. And so we look at using different census data points. We update it every single year. That's actually chapter 7 within our CEFMP. We look at areas of historic disinvestment in Baltimore and kind of look at it upon a scale. And if you look at a lot of the schools from the 21st century funds, a lot of those schools are in those areas. So when we look at major projects, the ones that do come to the forefront are the most loud, they are those schools where there is overcrowding, or there might be, again, just schools that we have not touched literally in 50 years, but we have as a district absolutely invested a lot of money in the areas of Baltimore that have oftentimes not seen a lot of investment. I think one of the things though is that you're right, the amount of CIP funding is so limited. We don't do brand new schools or like renovations with healthy schools, so it's CIP. So one of the things that we always tell people is like, write to your legislators, write to your politicians. The reason we've been able to do so many new buildings, so many renovations, is because we had those additional one-time pots of money. So Build to Learn, 21st Century. We do have the CIP, but again, we're doing 4 projects right now with CIP, and they have been stretched out for over 10 years. So it's, I think, advocating for those one-time pots of money, like that has absolutely helped us make major strides in addressing the inequity that is the facilities of Baltimore City Public Schools.
Commissioner Reed, did that conclude your comments?
Well, I think we need top level communication. I don't know if it should come from district or it should come from the board, or the board and district saying, these are our plans in terms of being just visionary. I can't say being equitable, because I don't know if we ever get equity. You just try to be fair. Just being visionary in terms of how we see the schools and best helping the kids. I don't know how that can happen. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes. Yeah, again, it's something we struggle with, absolutely. There's a lot of layers to it. And as we continue to think about it and change how we present the information each year, I think we do kind of get closer, and we do try to make sure that we're incorporating that to the best of our abilities, but it's like, we know we're not there yet.
Thank you, Maureen. Commissioner Coy.
Thanks for all the information here that you presented. This is more of a sort of like a short-term question. As it relates to some of the fire that was recently at Benjamin Franklin High School, just curious if there's any additional insight or how that plays into what was referenced about some of the future work that's happening there.
Okay. Hi, this is Cynthia Smith, Executive Director, Lighting, Design, and Construction. I will say that, obviously that was a very recent happening. So as we start to look at what next year's requests are, which we will be starting to look at within the next less than a month, that might be a consideration. Ben Franklin, though, was already on our list. We are actually trying to do a whole addition there, as well as a renovation. That building does need some major systemic improvements, as well as it is overcrowded at this point. We do have a portable at that site that we've had to add. So we are trying to do, a major project there. Again, that's a very expensive project, though, so it's something that's going to take some years to build up enough money. Fires, we have playground fire, like we do have fires across, the district. Is unfortunately a symptom of what our some of our environment that we've got across with playground fires and things like that, with people unfortunately kind of see our things as things they can set on fire, which is a very unfortunate situation. And it does play into the things then that we need to then bump, and we need to make changes in the priorities of the projects that are already listed to bump to make those other repairs and or corrections that we might have to do, which then unfortunately puts something else that might also be a priority need, but it has to lower that then, because you can only have one number one, for example. So we're constantly having to look at those as we weigh those priorities and having to shift those as we put in the CIP. or the Healthy Schools requests.
Shakur, did that conclude your remarks?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the team. We can transition. Dr. Juckins, did we have anyone sign up for public comment today?
We did not.
Okay, so we can transition to procurement.
Good morning.
Morning.
Catherine Kamenecki, and I am the contracts administrator with City Schools, and I'll be presenting the ops agenda today. We have a number of items that are teaching and learning items that are going before ops today. But the first item is section 12.1. Chief Academic Officer requests the board's approval of a contract with multiple vendors to provide assorted books and reading materials. And the estimated annual contract amount is $5 million, and the contract term is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. And this contract includes 2 one-year renewal options.
Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy, any questions?
My question with the books, the increase in the contract looks like it's gone annually from like $1 million to $1.2 million for $600,000 for the library books and $1 million for the other books. Is that inflationary, or is that we're getting more books?
Good morning. I'm Brooke Horch. I'm the coordinator of fiscal operations in the academics office. So the distinction is that the first set is trade books with traditional book vendors, Barnes & Noble, Booksource, Mackin. And then the other distinction is Follett and Permabound, and those are library books that come automated in our MARC record system for schools to purchase for library-specific books. And so we've just spent a significantly increased amount of money in the library books in that category.
Okay.
That answer your question?
Yes, you said more.
Okay.
And I guess also Casey, it's good to see Casey here, board members, because hopefully we can get more people to read your letter, Casey. Because it was like there and not there, but I would say somewhere you can disseminate your letter to the full board. Did you see the letter, Madam Chair? Because
I don't know what letter you're referencing.
her letter basically, go ahead, Casey, tell about your letter.
I'm presuming that you're referring to the memo as to why academics is even here today.
6324 memo. Yeah.
Yes. So we wrote, because typically we don't have the privilege of coming before the operations committee very often.
Okay. Now that I know what the reference to the letter is, yes. Thank you for coloring in what document we were talking about.
Yeah, so we're here for just quite the volume, the timing, the ending of ESSER funds. I mean, and I would even say for this particular book vendor and for many of the ones that you'll see today, these are really allowing us to ensure schools have higher caps as well, so that we can truly spend all of those ESSER funds down on things like materials, books, libraries, etc. Last week, there was one for musical instruments that we did the same thing with the Teaching and Learning Committee and the board. So all of those things kind of fall under this increase. We want to make sure folks have the latitude in order to spend the money that they have.
Casey, Commissioner Coy.
Yeah, and to Commissioner Reed's point, the letter highlights that there are some increases that are due to inflation and some that are due to more things. It'd be helpful as we go through some of these just to highlight if some of them relate to inflationary or if they are just that we are procuring more of something, because it doesn't come through quite as clear in some of the procurement letters as to why are the increases that we are getting more things because or are they inflationary? But your memo sort of highlights that there are some inflationary aspects to these increases.
Commissioner Coy, I would ask if you have that question as we go through the agenda to ask that, because the infrastructure doesn't allow for that. So as we're going through each item, if you have that question, pose it during that time.
And I wonder if I can just kind of help even like nip that one. The ones that are really impacted by inflation are ones for services. So the ones that you'll see up and coming are, things like psych services, social workers, et cetera. Those are where those increases are coming in. Those are by and large the inflationary things because those rates have just been increasing almost annually over time. Things like books, materials, et cetera. There's a little bit there, but that's not the thrust really for the increases. So our schools can have access to more things.
We can transition to the next item.
Right. So talked a little bit about it, but section 12.2, the chief academic officer requests the board's approval to increase the estimated annual contract amount with Follett Content Solutions and Permabound to purchase library materials and associated resources. The contract is in a renewal period of February 1st, 2023 through January 31st, 2025. And this is an increase of the contract term during the renewal to $2.2 million.
Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy.
I'm fine.
Section 12.3, the executive director of special education requests.
Catherine, I'm sorry. Commissioner Coy didn't respond.
Oh, given that we have a number of these, I'll sort of pop on video and chime in if there are any questions. Otherwise, you can assume I don't have any questions.
No. I need to, as a matter of record, if you have questions. So just yes or no.
No.
Thank you.
The executive director of special education requests the board's approval. Ooh, got some typos. To extend the contract term and increase the contract amount for multiple vendors to provide social work counseling services for city school students. A current contract term is July 1st through June 30th, and the board is requested to extend this contract through June 30th, 2025, as well as increase the total contract amount of $7.5 million to $9 million.
I'll open the floor for questions. Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy.
I guess only one question. I've brought this up in the past. How can we aggregate stuff? We're talking about books. We're getting one here, one there. How do we aggregate all the spending for books? We're going to talk about social workers. We're going to talk about psychologists. We're talking about special ed assistants. How do we aggregate all that saying, hey, this is what we're asking the board to spend 2024, 2025 on this or that? I mean, I've asked this in the past. I've even asked this about for legal expenses. I never get a number, but I was like, is there some way we can aggregate stuff so the board knows in totality what we're spending in certain areas?
Did you need to take that back to the team?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I know that we've in the past have been, providing a report for sort of high scope for certain items, and like what has been invoiced for several vendors. So we will work on getting that to you.
No, because I'm exiting the board at some point in the future, and I think it would be helpful for my other board members to know the financial implications in certain arenas. Please.
Commissioner Reed, Dr. Jenkins, did you capture that request?
Yes. Have it.
Thank you. Commissioner Coy, any questions on this item?
Nope.
And we can transition to the next one.
Right, section 12.4, school psychology services. The chief academic officer and the executive director of special education request the board's approval to extend the contract term and increase the contract amount for multiple vendors to provide school psychology services. Current contract term is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2024. The board is requested to extend the contract term through June 30th, 2025, as well as increase the total contract amount from $5 million to $6 million.
I'm good, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Coy.
With the previous answer that this is likely due to more inflationary than just increase, that answers my question there. I have no additional questions.
Okay, we can transition to the next item.
Right, section 12.5, The Chief Academic Officer and the Interim Executive Director of Special Education request the board's approval to extend the contract term and increase the contract amount for multiple vendors to provide short-term and long-term special education certified subs. Current contract term is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2024, and the board is requested to extend this contract through June 30th, 2025, as well as increase the total contract amount from $6.5 million to $8 million.
Commissioner
Fine.
Reed, Commissioner Coy? Commissioner Coy?
Just on a point of personal privilege, just saying thank you for this work generally in our schools and knowing how important it is and how much it matters to our students.
Thank you. We can transition to the next item.
Section 12.6, the Chief Academic Officer requests the board's approval to increase the contract with Signition Inc. to provide high dosage tutoring. The board is requested to increase the estimated total contract amount from $2,250,000 to $3,250,000, an increase of $1 million. And the contract term is June 15th, 2022 through June 30th, 2025.
Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy?
Yeah, thank you. And see, tutoring is a great example of, this is just tip of the iceberg. We're spending a lot more in tutoring than just this. So it may be like 10 vendors we're spending for tutoring. So that's why I asked that kind of question. Thank you.
No additional questions for me.
Something that you want disaggregated out, Commissioner Reed? What's the action item from this or couple
No,
with your
I
previous
guess-
request?
I guess this item is basically an example of why I'd like to see it aggregated, because we may have 10 vendors for tutoring. But this particular point in time, we're seeing one. And it's like, it's one of many. That's why I say that.
I would say, offline, we can figure out the best way to provide that reporting. But when we do have contracts that have multiple awardees, we can pull like, okay, we've awarded 10 vendors this one particular service. But in other times, in order to provide substantial evidence of effectiveness and vendors kind of varying programs, we may have a situation where, we've taken the high dosage tutoring vendors independently. So, that's why, we may have initially estimated that one certain provider would be less utilized than another. So we would be increasing one when we're not necessarily needing to take others for an increase. So that those types of situations would be like why you're only seeing Signition as an increase versus the whole breadth of the high dosage tutoring vendors. That makes sense.
Casey, you wanted to add on to that?
Yeah, no, I would love to, because Commissioner Reed, frankly, and a year ago, stepping into this role and in partnership with my colleague Brooke Korch, who is also on the call, we have been, I think, equally as you perhaps frustrated that we have seemingly one-off kind of vendor requests. And some of that is just from, historical timelines of, we've approved this vendor and now this has come along, et cetera. So we've actually been doing a lot of work to try and clean that up. So what you see, even in today's board letters, all the IFBs, for example, for the school psychologists, that's all we're spending for school psychology. That's like in one place. Moving into the next year, we will be doing an open RFP that's associated with tutoring. And so again, we're doing things so that even the types of vendors coming through for tutoring would all be coming through one process, which will help to streamline our ability to say, in totality, we're looking at this for tutoring, and here are all the vendors aligned to that. Right now, just because of the way things have been done previously, it does feel more one-off. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say it is true. Yes, we can aggregate it, and we can also choose different procurement processes that help us to do that more so from the jump, as opposed to getting it on the back end. So I just appreciate you raising it. It is something that we are, quite keenly aware of and want to be putting in systems and process to adjust as we move forward. So it is easier to understand what we're spending on in totality each time, as opposed to one-offs. So I just want to thank you for raising it.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you, Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Coy?
No additional questions for me.
Okay, we can transition to the next item.
The next item is section 12.7, veneer software and technology. The chief academic officer requests the board's approval to increase the contract amount with veneer software and technology to provide probeware, hands-on science, supplemental instructional materials. The board is requested to increase the estimated annual amount from $450,000 to $750,000, and the contract term is June 14th, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Court?
I'm fine. Thank you.
No additional questions for me.
Thank you. In transition?
This is the Chief Financial Officer, Section 13.1, Education Resource Strategies. The Chief Financial Officer requests the board's approval to contract with ERS to provide continued support of the district in the design and implementation of the Fair Student Funding Model. The estimated total contract amount is $450,000, and the contract term is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Fine here.
The court?
No additional questions for me.
Thank you.
Okay, the next section is the Chief Information Technology Officer. The Chief Information Technology Officer requests the board's approval to participate in the Maryland Education Enterprise Consortium competitively solicited requirements contract for audiovisual services and equipment. The estimated total contract amount is $900,000, and the contract term is June 26th, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Fine. Thank you.
No
Commissioner
questions
Court?
for me.
Okay, we can transition.
Section 14.2, the Chief Information Technology Officer, the Chief Finance Officer, and the Chief Human Capital Officer request the board's approval to increase the contract with Kronos or Ultimate Kronos Group UKG to provide time and attendance and leave management system services. And this is an increase of $1,822,313.50. The contract term is September 29th, 2021 through September 28th, 2028.
Fine.
I asked my
Commissioner-
questions previously, so I'm good.
Okay, we can transition. I'm sorry.
Section 15.1, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval of a competitively solicited contract with Multicore Fire Protection Services, Johnson Controls Fire Protection, and the Fireline Corporation to provide kitchen fire suppression and fire extinguisher services to Baltimore City Public Schools on an as-needed basis. The contract term is June 26, 2024 through June 25th, 2027, and includes one 2-year renewal option. The estimated annual contract amount is $200,000.
Fine.
Reed, Sally. Sally, Coy.
No questions for me.
Section 15.2, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to increase the contract to provide roofing system maintenance, repairs, and replacement services to Baltimore City Public Schools on an as-needed basis with multiple vendors. The board is requested to increase the estimated annual contract amount from $2 million annually to $5 million annually. The contract term is March 1st, 2023 through February 28th, 2026, and includes one 2-year renewal option.
Fine.
No
What?
questions for me.
Thank you.
Section 15.3, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to increase the total contract amount with Smolin, Emmer, and Ilkovich Architects from $1,712,886, an overall increase of $300,000 to provide additional A&E services for the construction of Mary G. Faring Pre-K to A school.
Fine.
No questions for me.
Thank you.
Section 15.4, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval of a competitively solicited contract with Addis Elevator Inspections and Inspirisk to provide third-party elevator inspection services to Baltimore City Public Schools. The contract term is June 26th, 2024 through June 25th, 2027, and includes one 2-year renewal option. The estimated annual contract amount is $100,000.
So Otis Elevator's not trying to see those guys? Nothing, no. I'm fine.
No
Thank you,
questions for me.
Commissioner Reed. Thank you, Commissioner Coy. We can transition.
Section 15.5, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to increase the contract amount with Commercial Cabling and Sound, Horton Mechanical Contractors, and Spears Mechanical to provide miscellaneous electrical repair and replacement services to Baltimore Public City Schools. The board is requested to increase the estimated annual amount from $1 million annually to $2 million annually. The contract term is October 26th, 2022 through October 25th, 2025, and includes 1 2-year renewal option.
Fine.
No questions for me.
Thank you.
Section 15.6. The Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval of a competitively solicited contract with Bronner Contracting Company in the amount of $396,980. The contract provides fire pump and water services at William S. Bear Special Education School.
Fine.
No questions for me.
Thank you.
Section 15.7, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to increase the total contract amount with Design Collective, Inc. This is an overall increase of $350,000, and this is to provide additional A&E services at Armistead Gardens Pre-K to 8 school.
Thank you.
No questions for me.
Thank you.
Section 15.8, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to extend the contract term and increase the estimated contract amount with P2 Cleaning Services, Guardian Landscaping, and Lorenz to provide grass mowing and other landscaping services. The current contract term is April 25th, 2018 through September 30th, 2024. The board is requested to approve a contract extension through December 31st, 2024, as well as increase the overall contract by $625,000.
Thank you.
If I have any questions relating to this one, I'll follow up offline.
Section
Okay.
50, no, sorry.
No, go ahead, Catherine. I just said okay to Commissioner Coy.
Section 15.9, the Chief Operating Officer requests the board's approval to extend the contract term and increase the estimated annual contract amount with multiple vendors to provide janitorial services at various city school sites. The current contract term is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2024, and the board is requested to extend the contract term through January 1st of 2025, as well as increase the total contract amount by $8.5 million.
Thank
Reed.
you. I
No
guess one
questions
quick
for me.
question. We farm out the janitorial, but they wear Baltimore City clothing. How does that work? Do they have their own janitorial clothes, or they have city janitorial clothes?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Roland Dale, Director of Logistics and Environmental Compliance. Currently, the contractors wear their own uniforms.
Okay.
And that differentiates them from our in-house and custodians.
So we do have in-house custodians,
Correct.
and we have farmed out custodians. Where are the in-house custodians and where are the farmed out custodians?
Well, in school situations, they're all in the same place. They're just different shift work. So what happens typically is that the custodians that are not supporting the schools, now there may be what is known as a day porter during the day, but primarily what happens is these custodial services are performed when all schools are closed and when we're doing the massive cleaning that's required, or the cleaning that's required after hours. So that's typically when we have contracted cleaners come into our school buildings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Coy, I believe you said you did not have any questions.
No questions for me on this one.
Thank you.
Okay. The Chief Human Capital Officer, Section 16.1. The Chief Human Capital Officer requests the board's approval to extend and increase the contract with Power School Group. And this is an overall increase of $309,980 $309,684. My brain's a little tongue-tied. $309,684.98. And this request is to extend the contract term through June 30th, 2026. And this is for the ATS system.
Thank you.
I asked my question previously. Thank you.
And then the last,
Actually, I have a question for this, Dr. Jenkins. It's, I'll email Dr. Jenkins a follow-up for this procurement item.
right, and the last item is section 16.2. The Chief Human Capital Officer requests the board's approval to extend the contract term of the temporary employment staffing services contract to continue to provide temp staffing through June 30th of 2025.
Thank you.
No questions for me.
Thank you. Catherine, you did that like a boss. That was a lot.
Found some typos, but
It's okay. Thank you so much. Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy, before we conclude the meeting and conclude procurement, were there any additional remarks related to that full agenda or either of the presentations for follow-up, so that board staff, district staff can capture that for follow-up?
I think the presentations were great and pretty terse. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed, Commissioner Coy.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. This is end of call. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone.